It's never too late to take your health back. You know, let's do it. If I can do it, anybody can. Didn't play sports growing up. Just a dad optimizing the environment and process the best that I possibly could. I caught myself in the mirror, and at that point, it was the ultimate showdown with myself. You really got to start to look at my early childhood days, and I think that's where some of the problems began, because I never really knew where I fit in. Always really unsure of who I was and what I was doing. Decided to go into the Marines. The plan was for me to stay in the military forever, you know, and retire with it. So I wanted to be a pilot, and so I was going to the Officer Candidate School in Quantico, Virginia during the summers. And during my junior and senior year, in between that summer, you know, I had to leave Officer Candidate School because I had, you know, stress fractures in all my metatarsals, and that was tough. I just couldn't train like the way that I needed to be in the United States military, Marines, and the Naval Academy, where they do all their flight training in Pensacola. I mean, that's a very rigorous program. There's no way I could have continued to do that. You know, the partying went from high school to the Marines, intensified into college, and then for sure into, you know, the 10 years with the elevator. You know, all of those habits stayed with me. They never left. And when I lost the military structure, you know, things started to unravel. Drinking got worse. I got older. You know, that led me all the way up to, you know, 36 years old. And you know, at that time, you know, I never looked in the mirror because I was afraid of myself. You know, I wasn't ready to. I knew bad stuff has been happening for a long time, and I wasn't ready to admit that. You know, I knew something was off in my life, like I was missing something, and without doing real work and answering the really hard questions, I was a mess internally. I went to the YMCA right down the road from my house here, got on a treadmill, walked a mile on decline, and not even on flat, on decline. And I went back to that gym nearly every day for about 1.5 years. Not necessarily to work out, but just to be in the building, surrounding myself with people who are also trying to make a change for themselves. So I finally started listening to my wife and eating a real whole foods diet. And then also I got some mentors, training mentors, until all of those things were clicking and treating my gut, you know, properly, and having actual healthy gut, good microbiome, and having more good bacteria than bad. You know, until that was actually happening, you know, it created a lot of challenges. As soon as I started to get into that structured kind of routine based on their guidance, plus eating a whole foods diet 4 months into the journey, that's when things really started to take off. The magic started happening. You can't out-exercise a bad diet, bad habits, bad anything. And so that's where nutrition and exercise come together, to create a sustainable way to actually transform your body. Eventually I tried, like, you know, what I'm calling like the walk it back method. And I really calculated out, you know, how much alcohol I was consuming. And it was a lot. And I decided to, okay, every week it's going to go down X percentage, you know, and like a mathematical equation. I mean, that's exactly what I stuck to. And eventually it got down to you know, like a year into it, like nearly 0. Like a Ram Tuesday night grilling for the family, and chicken and vegetables and steaks, plus all, you know, everything that I had baking in you know, in the oven. And you know, I'd go outside. I hate to come back inside for anything. I'd have my pockets lined with with 6 double IPAs on a Tuesday, because I was ashamed to. I didn't want anyone to see me coming to grab another IPA from the fridge. So that was, you know, that was. I mean, that's the kind of life I was living, and that's just a Tuesday, you know, drinking something like that. So I employed the walk it back method, and you know, I got to a point where then I could get through weekends, you know, without any sort of alcohol whatsoever. Now using that method, I'm not 100% sober, but it's extremely rare, you know, that I drink anything now these days. The biggest challenge by far was A, the drinking, but B, you know, expecting results to happen quicker. You know, I was frustrated with that. Had I known what I know now, you know, I would have a much bigger expectation. And that's how I try to set expectations and coaching techniques and guidelines with folks who I work with, that this is a process. So, drinking all the time, like that stuff followed me. So I knew that I had a serious problem. And so the motivation was for myself. And I needed to optimize that. And what continues to motivate me now more than ever, first and foremost, like as I've gotten healthier, my relationship with my wife and little one is you know, the best ever. And so like the motivation is just to be the best husband and the best dad that I possibly can. To, you know, for my own clients that I coach, you know, through the Champ City program, you know, I'm motivated to be the best for those folks as well. And it's very closed loop, like it goes both ways, like their support is awesome. So the business itself has really morphed into more of like a wellness coaching, you know, experience. It's more than just fitness. It's rooted in building healthy habits to create a better life in a sustainable way. It's never too late to take your health back. You know, training clients in Australia, Russia, Middle East, all over Europe, Germany, Mexico, Brazil, Canada, of course the United States. So a couple things to understand is that A, it's going to take some time, and don't get yourself wrapped up into, you know, you need motivation to get from point A to point B, because that's fleeting. You must optimize your environment and your process the best you possibly can. Optimizing your process to go along with it is going to give you the best chance to have success. So create yourself a 90-day plan. You know, get out your calendar, write it out, be very specific. What you're going to do, where you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, and what the intent is of that. It might take a little bit of time on the front end writing that out, but if you do, you might really, really, really appreciate A, how easy it is to follow that plan, because decision fatigue is so real that you can, you know, you just look right at your calendar, this is what I'm gonna do, and you can check it off, and you might appreciate stacking those wins. So optimizing your environment and process for sure. If I can do it, anyone can. Certainly not a special athlete or anything. I'm just a regular dad, you know, trying to make it happen. Everybody needs to understand that, like, this is possible, you know, like, and this is why, like, I love doing this so much, because, you know, it's the power of a total transformation, you know, physically, more importantly, mentally, you know, coming from an area where I came from, it has no equal. You know, in my opinion, walking is probably the greatest exercise on earth. You know, it's awesome for our joints, you know, especially you combine it with, you know, Hyperwear's, you know, weighted vest. You combine that with walking at a brisk pace, I mean, that begins to stack, you know. But if you're struggling, you know, there is a better life ahead. You know, there are ways to walk it back and have just as much fun, if not way more fun, you know, during certain events with your friends or in the weekends or just with family or just coping or anything like that, you know, by far, like if you need, reach out to me. You know, there is a better way. There is a better life. So, you know, parting words for sure. It's never too late to take your health back. You know, let's do it.